All right, this is the Peanut Gallery, episode 55.
No,
Ish.
like 56 or 57.
All right,
Oh, you really
50s. We're in the late 50s.
Just like you.
Oh, almost like me.
Snapdragon, Kellogg's
I
Rice
think I'm the
Krispies.
eldest
Are we
in the
ready?
room.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can go.
Should we clap now?
No, he already did.
Oh.
You freaking clown. Stop it.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Peanut Gallery. We have been trying to get reeled in here for a while, so we are having a hard time focusing this morning. But it is good to be back. We are excited to have Ingrid here with us. So
Yes.
welcome, Ingrid.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Ingrid.
Woo.
One of my many flaws is that often I start these interviews and forget to tell people who I'm actually talking about. And then like 10 minutes later, I'm like, oh, and this is. So this is Ingrid. So Ingrid, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little history, like just short, but.
Short. Okay. So Ingrid VandenBorre, I've lived in this area my entire life.
Mhm.
Massage therapist for the last 28 years.
Yeah.
A long
And this
time.
is nice. You usually have to pay to see you. So this is fantastic.
It's different, right? Yeah.
There'll be a bill at the end of the podcast.
This one may be more painful for me than it will be for him for a change.
Yeah.
Yes. So I am married to an amazing man. Hopefully that isn't filmed.
He's amazing. Like he's fantastic. You
Is he?
downplay it. The guy was like a pilot and a cop and like a superhero.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Yes, he is. He is a superhero in many ways. And then
Where
two
did he
lovely-
propose? Where did he propose?
in a plane. But he had his finger on the eject button when we were over Niagara
Yes.
Falls. So you got to remember that part. Yes, and two lovely daughters, Alex and Kendra, 21 and 19 years of age.
Nice.
So yeah.
All right. So we are kind of the beginning of this year, we're talking a lot about the Mac because that's kind of been where a lot of Patrick and I have spent a lot of our time, but there's been a whole team that's been around it, and you've been one of those.
Mm-hmm.
So talk a little bit about why you care about this project. I think people hear too much from Patrick and I. But why does this matter to you?
Well, yeah, it definitely matters deeply to me. I was trying to remember when this all started, and I think the very, very truth is a year and a half ago or so, I was thinking, okay, life has changed. The farm is gone. Kids are out of the house. So you have some extra free time, Ingrid. So perhaps one should do something productive with that. So I had a little prayer and I'm like, okay, God, there's got to be something that I can get involved in, and looking around. And anyways, put that out. And I'm a believer that if something comes to me 3 times, I should listen or follow with it. So, and I don't remember the order, but you, Albert, came in talking about it, Patrick as well. And I honestly don't remember what the third was. But then I'm like, okay, so maybe this is something you should get involved with, Ingrid. But then, never being involved in a big project like this, didn't know if I had any attributes to help in any way. So anyways, obviously, you guys were at the bottom of the bucket and needed some extra help in some capacity.
We had asked a lot of people.
Exactly. So, then hearing more about it and how it was community-based and for all ages, kids as well. I just think it's a very, very important project. It has really grown, which is exciting to see. And, just to be a little part of it, because I just find that our community is amazing, but there's still some grooves and niches and cliques in it. So it's important to kind of get them all together, and it'll take many people to do that. So hopefully we'll get there.
Yeah, no, that's a good segue. I was going to ask you, I don't know if you remember saying it, but one of the things that you said early on was the unity and you said it very passionately when you talked about bringing unity to our community. What does that mean to you, and how does sports and rec fit into that?
Yeah, unity. It's just, I don't know how to word this appropriately, but I find, again, Elmer, because I've lived here the majority of my life, but I love this community. I enjoy many people in it, but I feel that we're still a little bit in our own lanes for different things. So the unity is very important. I think it's improved. It needs some extra push from all of us to get it there. But sports and physical activity and all of that seems to bring everyone together. So I like that idea of it. The idea of having, kids there, but then you have the parents, and then they start talking, and what are you involved in, and how can we help? Yeah.
So one of the things that came to mind right now that is completely unrelated, so
Mm-hmm.
just unrelated. But when I talked to you early on about why you became a massage therapist.
Mm.
And so I'm curious about that because my kids don't know what to do with their life. And so I'm like, how do you decide something like that? That seems like such a random career. Because I thought there was only like 4 careers getting out of high school. There was emergency services, doctor, lawyer, and then everybody else.
No, for sure. Yeah. So, mine was unique. I started in economics at university at Laurier. So, yep.
So did Patrick. So,
I know. I can hear from the peanut gallery in a different capacity.
Shout out. Woo!
So, yeah, obviously a massage therapist is not the same. So started out, and no insult to anyone, but it was a bit dry. So dry. So, and friend of mine at the time had injured his shoulder. He was going to physio. It was working. He was also going to massage therapist, and that seemed to put him over the edge in a positive way. My mom was a nurse, so she was always, air quote, rubbing my sores away. I am a touchy-feely, probably in-your-face kind of person. I don't know if anyone's noticed that. Never noticed.
There's so many people amening right now.
I know, yeah. So, yeah, and then I always wanted to be, I'm a people person. I like working with people directly. Anyone that knows me knows I don't know much about computers or even how to operate my TV because no one will have the patience to teach me for the 3rd time. So, yeah, just going into that and learned a little bit more about it. And what I love about it is that I get bored easily. And you can think massaging for 28 years, that's got to be a lot of repetition. It is in some ways, but it's not because each person is a new piece of the puzzle.
Right.
And so, yeah, the Mac is a new puzzle with lots of pieces, and it's going to be fun to put them all together.
Cool.
It's going to be an amazing picture at the end.
All right. So some of the other conversations we've had, that was nice. You did.
What did I do?
Just
that
ignored
good?
you. That was nice. A little picture. That was
see,
nice. It was good. It was good.
Yes,
That's
yes.
good. This is why we need to have more women involved. You have a couple of daughters who were very involved in sports and played at some pretty high levels. And so I'm curious if you can kind of walk us through some of those progressions as to how, you guys, made that decision. You could give us some backdrop as to the way your dad may have parented when it came to tournaments and stuff. But it'd be interesting because I know for me, so I have kids they love sports. And so we spend a lot of time on the diamond. And I know there's a lot of debate as to how do you make that decision? How much time should you be spending? How far do you go for your kids? And so that's a lot of context, a lot of questions, but kind of start us back from maybe start with, because now that I've opened the door, what your experience was like in sports, and then maybe how you and Lino decided with the kids and kind of where that's led them.
Yeah, I mean, I was very fortunate that my parents were active individuals, so they would play with me. Now I was an only child, so I tired them out a lot. They would take turns. But yeah, you can believe it. Like in the front of their property.
Probably why they were this is enough children.
This is enough.
How does it feel like 3?
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Yes.
Carry on.
So I would, run, and they would do tag teams, but they would always have to sit on the front steps and have a little break. So they were active, but yeah, then soccer was a big thing, probably the European pull. So they did get me into soccer in Elmer. But at that point, many decades ago, there weren't a lot of girls in soccer. They didn't have girls' teams and guys' teams. So it was a co-ed team. In the very first year, I was the only girl. And then I think it progressed. There was obviously more girls involved, and that was with Joe Van Dyke down at Steam Park decades ago, as I said. But then there was baseball. But for myself, it was more when I was able to drive, right? Because work came first. And then... yeah, ball then became a social event as well. And then there was slow pitch and all of that. I did play competitive soccer in St. Thomas. And then after kids in London, but that was like the old ladies league, right? But it was fun. And then Lino was always involved in sports too. He's very athletic. But his parents, unfortunately for him, never went to go see, I think, any games, right?
Okay.
So he wouldn't have played outside of high school. Like I played all the sports during high school as well.
Mhm.
So his exposure was in high school. My mom would come to games. Dad didn't. It was just work. But Lino's parents, unfortunately, never were able to make the time or felt it was important at that time. So he remembers that.
Mm.
And then he went on to play semi-pro soccer as a keeper and all of that. But I don't even think they went to any of those games either. And then as a police officer, he played on many leagues and went to the States for many tournaments. So very physical and active. And then when the girls came along, I mean, we both loved sports. We would ski. That was probably the thing that we did a lot together when we first started dating. But he was a boarder. So if you're a skier, that's not so cool initially. But he's come around now. He's a skier. And
Wow, there's some deep-seated conversations that need to be
yeah,
had there.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there's a rift between the the skiers and the boarders.
It's on
also
the hill. There is a bit. There's a bit.
Can you text Lino quickly? We're going to book a podcast. I feel like there's a few things we need to chat about.
I'm on it.
No, because it'll all be bad about me. Forget it. So then, then the girls came along, and then, of course, soccer is both our loves. So they started in that. Alex and Kendra here in Elmer at the Columbus Club or pitches there. I was able to help coach or just as like herding cats at that point.
Talk to me about your coaching because...
Yeah, it was like herding cats. So I love kids and I love their energy and I feel like they just need to run around a bit.
I just feel like there's a bit like it's one of those like, look, I do like you. I just it's not for us. Like
what? That I didn't like the kids, you mean? What?
well, no, that's what it sounds like. That sounded a little bit like a breakup. So no, it was fine. It was good.
Yeah, no, but
no, look,
like,
they were like
focus.
you know how yes.
Well, yeah, like I'm no, they were fun, but you'd have to let them run around. So we played tag a lot in the beginning, and it's all about development. So yeah, they gave me letters and cookies at the end, so that wasn't all that bad. I'd have a couple of the girls have to do cartwheels before the game just to get it out of
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I only did that for a few years, and then the girls wanted to go maybe to the next level. It's curious. So was it the girls that wanted to go to the next level at that point, or was it Lino and I because we're both competitive individuals and wanted them to? So I don't know. Maybe both, right?
Right.
Maybe both.
That's one of the, I don't know, accusations is maybe too strong of a word, but I think kind of from a lot of people when your kids end up playing anywhere higher, they're like, well, you're just living out your dreams through them. And it is a complex thing because you do enjoy it.
Yeah.
And they enjoy it, but you're like, okay, well, I don't want to be living through them, but
no. But I think if you give them the opportunity, then they choose from there. So that was where our belief was: give them the opportunity. And so around here at that time, there wasn't the next level, right, of skill that they could have gone to. So, anyways, to St. Thomas, Alex and Kendra were both playing in St. Thomas for quite a few years, and then Kendra really took to it as well. So she then went to London, Whitecaps. And then I don't even know the order. She was in London for a couple of years, then Burlington for quite a few.
So slow down just a little bit because I'm not a soccer guy. Like I know nothing. So I know Whitecaps are, well, how intense is something like that? Like,
and that's where Lino would be the guy to give you all the deep answers on that. So
interviewing the wrong person.
Interviewing the wrong person.
No, just from even a time standpoint, like what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, that is where you've got Whitecaps. I think it was at least 4 days a week at that point. So she would have been 12, 13, right? And there's traveling, like you're all over Ontario. And for this area, I think that's as high as you could go, right?
Yeah.
For the skill level. And then, then I guess there was a coach in Burlington that was well known. Then you start thinking about potential scholarships, right? So, and all of that. So then that pulled her in that direction. That was a huge commitment for both Kendra and Lino because they were gone 4 to 5 nights a week and she would be getting home at like 11:30, 12:30. It was crazy because you're an hour and a half drive, right? There and back and all of that. So took up a lot of time, but it worked out well. She met friends and learned a lot of skill. And then now she plays at Queen's on their varsity team. So obviously it all worked out.
So when you look back at some of that, is it anything you do different? Like, because I'm torn because I'm trying not to be biased in the one way, but I am biased in the one way because that's the way my kids are. So I'm trying not. But like for a lot, that's a lot of time. Like, how does that impact family? Is that beneficial? What did you guys find? Because you guys, I mean, just knowing you guys, you're very busy people. You enjoy being busy. But like when you look back at it, what was that with Alex and Lino then? Like, how did those connections go? I don't know.
We're very close. We're very committed to one another. We're in each other's faces probably far too often. I think the soccer was different. It really made or allowed Kendra and Lino to get really, really close because you're in the car and then you're just stuck with each other, right? So that was part of their relationship. I wouldn't give up any of it. I think side shoot, both girls skied competitively in Ontario, downhill skiing. So with that was every weekend in the winter your way, right? But again, the selfish part for that allowed Lino and I to be with them and on the hill skiing, right? So and this is no hit out to those that play hockey. I mean, I need the little Tim Hortons red thing, right? I can skate, but I can only turn left and, can't stop.
So we're insulting snowboarders and hockey players. And this is good. This is a great
I
episode.
love soccer and
Fantastic.
There's a lot of potential for
More
conflict here.
unity.
This is great.
Yeah, more unity, as long as you're in my lane. Obviously, I'm the one that needs to learn a lot of
You know what? That is a great definition of unity. People like me.
Not in my backyard, but in my lane.
Yes, exactly.
It's good. I like it.
So that forced us to be together, and there's so many memories. The girls will talk about that. And again,
Well, they'll go back to the hockey players. You wanted to say something about the hockey players.
Sorry. That no, and it wasn't the hockey players. It's the parents, because as a parent, you're not able to participate.
Right.
You're able to watch. So if I was going to be cold in an arena or cold outside watching a ski event, then I'd rather be on skis, being physical and doing. And and I've always supported physical activity and health. And if the kids see us doing it, then learn 100%. By example. Right?
So competitive skiing, I didn't even know that existed in our region, so feel free to enlighten us.
Yeah, well, it's
what is that all about?
Yeah, it's unique in the sense that there isn't a lot in this area because we don't have the hills, right? So the girls...
we have Steen Park.
Yeah, that's good for tobogganing. I guess a heck of a way to get back up. You got to walk.
They got that fence at the bottom to help you stop.
Exactly. Yeah, that counts. So they were at Ski High, which was Cobble Hill, so was probably even before your time. And so by Thamesford.
How young do you think I am?
I know.
I appreciate this.
You look very mature. And so, learned there, and then they went to Bowler. And then it was an older gentleman at Cobble that had suggested, because they were just taking lessons, right? And so then he said, you know what, you get more bang for your buck if you go for the ski team, just because of the hours and the time on and the level of training. So I'm half Dutch, half Belgium, so I thought that was a good deal, more bang for your buck. So decided, okay, let's do it. So they did that. And then again, they just went from there. And before we knew it, there was no intention of having them be competitive downhill skiers at all. But it worked, and I think it's great. Like, some sports allow or force you to be on a team because you're still within the team. You're getting points for your team, but an individual. And like, skiing is challenging on a good day. Right. And then when you're trying to do the slalom and all that. So I do remember, this is not a positive for Ingrid. I remember watching the girls at the year-end ski race, and they allowed the parents to join in. So Ingrid can at times be a bit cocky, and she's like, well, how hard can this be? Like, really, come on, girls, ski faster, ski harder. So anyways, did it. I was terrified. Like, I almost peed my pants. I got to the end and I just had to go directly to the girls and apologize for telling them to ski harder, ski faster, because, just to do that grew, like, they would have learned a lot of life lessons. As did I, which I've learned more life lessons through my girls and sports than I have probably on my own, which is entertaining, but it's very truthful.
Yeah, it's an interesting point because I was going to go in a whole different direction. I had a funny story, but now you brought up parents.
Oh.
Parents in sports, how do you manage your emotions?
Oh.
Good night.
Don't ask me. Like, the girls, that's when you should have the girls in here. They would say,
Well, I find it, so hockey's been really interesting. But some of it is venues, right? Like,
Yeah.
Because baseball, when you yell loud, because you're outdoors, it doesn't echo as much and you're not all gathered necessarily so close, whatever. Hockey is intense. And I think a lot of parents don't mean to be as intense, but they're intense.
Yeah.
So that was a good experience for you. But how do you manage some of that?
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't know if I've been successful. Like at times, I have not.
Right, like,
I want to
we're
know
all
how many
about-
times.
Let's hear about the times you failed.
I know,
How many
it's
times did
those
Lino
stories.
have to tell you to?
No, it's the girls, just the way they would look at me, or then in the car, not now. And so I think Kendra and Alex, because I tend to have some lines which they feel when I'm saying them are directed solely to them on the pitch in the soccer field. And so, like, dig deep, keep on trucking, which to them means you're not trying hard enough,
Right.
get going, go faster, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, sometimes they respond quickly and harshly, so I really do have to sit on my tongue at times. So I'm still working on that. Lino's better.
Kids are basically done sports. You're like, but I'll get it soon. As soon as they're
I'm
done
working for the
sports,
grandkids. Not that I need grandkids yet, but maybe at that, it's all about learning through life.
See, I was also
okay?
thinking, keep on trucking. Like, there's speed limits on trucks.
But not
So
when
I'm
you're
like,
running around on the soccer.
my kids would have been like, no, Dad, there's limits. I went exactly as fast as I was legally allowed to go. So
Well, that was a smart response. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, emotions. I mean, you try to celebrate the good times. Now, what I remember right now for emotions, but it's fun watching your kids do things together. So there was a race that Kendra won. It was for provincial, so she won that, but we didn't know it was very close with another racer. But Alex had the opportunity to be her coach for that day, so she has a couple levels. So she was there, but the excitement that Alex had for Kendra, for her sister's win, is still one of my biggest gifts in sports that I've ever received, is watching the two of them together. Like, that was like, at the heart, right? It was just so cool. They were like, honestly, Alex was way more excited than Kendra, right? So that's, it's all convoluted, but it's fun. It's hard. It's hard, this whole parenting, and then trying not to be living vicariously through them.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So I'm sure I have at times, but I try not to for the majority of it.
it catches you off guard. Well, it shouldn't, but watching your children enjoy life is one of the things about being parents that is just one of the, you can't even put it really into words. But I think some of that gets, what's the right word? Like, you feel it in a really cool way when everybody else is also cheering on your child. Because you see those victories all the time. Their first steps, their first words, all those things. You see all these things, but it's just you, maybe some fans from family or whatever. But then when you're in a stadium and everyone's watching, there is something there. And so I can see why parents get to there.
Yeah.
Right? Any advice on parents who are newer to this journey? And you've been clear that I'm not one of the newer parents. I've been around for a while.
It's mature looking.
Mature looking. It's like when my mother-in-law tells me I have a round face. I know what you're saying. I have chubby cheeks.
I didn't say that.
I know. No, it was funny. What would you say to new parents who are about to get into this journey? Like, I know we were talking to Patrick before, and he's coaching rep for the first time this year and very overwhelmed with the schedule and just the chaos of it. What's some advice that you kind of go, as you guys are navigating this, how do you make sure that you enjoy that journey as a family and not get caught up in some of the ditches that you can easily get caught up into when it comes to competitive sports?
Solid question. Yeah, I think the best is just, sounds corny, but just let them have fun, right? Let the kids be who they are. Don't get over engaged. Like, kids know if they've done something right for the most part, and they know if they've let themselves down. So it's about, picking them up. Very, very few people make it to the professionals, level. I think sports, and it could be for other kids, drama or different activities, teach them how to deal in life and with life, right? So parents are learning as well as the kids through all of this, right? So as a parent too, if you've yelled to support a kid on the pitch or, on the rink, and you made a fool of yourself or your kids are embarrassed or you said something out loud that you wish had remained in your head, then, okay, forgive yourself, right? Because you're going to hopefully be at another match, another game.
Right.
And so just, don't take it all too seriously.
Right.
Because games, wins and losses sometimes get forgotten, but the words that are said at the time stay a little longer, right? So just really try to use your inside voice first. Now, I don't succeed at that. That's all I'm trying to think. You're asking for suggestions. I'm still working on it. But...
I mean, you're downplaying some of it. Like I know your family well enough that you guys are very close as a family, and there's a lot that a lot of us would look to and go, how did you get there? Because you want that, right? Like I loved the way you talk about your daughters and the way. There's a lot of chirps at Lino. He gets chirped a little bit, but there is connection there.
Yeah.
And that I think is the goal for a lot of families. Like you don't get into competitive sports or in whatever you're into, you don't get into it to get sidetracked. So with the chaos and busyness of life, how did you guys manage to stay close as a family even when you're so separated? Because I do know of families who have divorced in the same situation because mom and dad are constantly separate. You're chasing kids. And so what were some of the things that you guys did intentionally or unintentionally looking back now where you're like, this is how, as a couple, we stayed close, and as a family, we stayed close, even when we were separate?
Yeah, I think ours is unique, though, in comparison, because the girls are 2 years apart, so they were close, and they chose the same sports, like in the sense of skiing, right? So that kept us all winter together. Now, yes, they did have different races, different weekends for sure, but you just would always kind of like go through how the event went or the week went. Like, so there was always verbal diarrhea. Like there's a lot of talking going on. And then Alex is always singing. So, so that's nice. But yeah, I think it's about communication, right? Like, I don't know how we did it. Like, I think back now and I honestly say, how did we do it? How did we survive some days? By the grace of God, obviously. But it's about, respecting everyone's needs. Because sometimes I need a timeout. Right. Which for me would be away with my girlfriends, right? So sometimes Lino needs to go play the guitar, right? So you're busy with the kids doing all that stuff.
He plays the guitar?
And he plays the keyboard, and he was in a band, and he sings. Right now? Yeah. It's very hard to be compared to him.
Was it like jazz or like heavy metal? I'm trying to
more little rock and roll blues and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. He's a cool cat. So, I don't know. You have to take care of yourself too, because you have to have the energy and, take care of your kids, right?
Okay. Awesome.
And patience.
Awesome. I think we've picked the brain enough for one day. Thanks for doing this.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for, and I would say, you know what, I think one of the things I've enjoyed about hanging out with you guys and getting to know you is that joy you guys have together. And I think that impacts a lot of people. And so keep going. I think we need that, right? Like there's a lot of things in families that get frustrated and struggle. And it's one of the battles that when you're in the midst of it is really hard. And so to see somebody who just enjoys being with family is inspiring, and we appreciate it. And
it is
thanks
fun.
for all you do.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, we will, thanks for watching, listening, whatever you're doing. We will see you on the next one. That's really weird. I hope they don't get a picture of this. This is awkward.
I think it looks great.